Hello everybody. Welcome to this NMM Gold guide. I don't know about you, but I have been struggling with NMM and specifically NMM Gold. So I'm making this guide kind of tutorial, just point you in the right direction, hoping that if you too are struggling, this can be somewhat of a help to you. And to further assist you, I will be putting the paints used in the upper left hand of the screen so that if you have them, you can use them, and if you don't, you can use an equivalent to them. Now, the very first step to NMM, any NMM, is to achieve an opaque base coat. You're not going to do any good if you're trying to blend on top of a surface that your primer is still showing through. It took me probably 5 coats of this particular paint because it's a yellowish tone on top of black to get good coverage, but we have to have that foundation to really start the NMM. Okay, it's time for our first highlight color. Now, we're doing a 50-50 mix to try and keep the transitions a little softer and easier to blend in the end. So don't freak out if you can't tell a huge difference. We're building up small layers so that later on we have a much easier time to blend. And it's very important during all these stages that you go over it multiple times so that every layer reaches full opacity. We want every layer to be visible and to make a smooth transition. If you think it's good enough, thin your paint down and go over it again. I want you to notice here that rather than pushing my brush into the mini, I am using more of like a sketching motion, pulling my brush always towards the brightest point, and I'm making very thin lines with as little pressure as I can put on the brush. This right here is where we're going to see the benefit of bringing every layer to full opacity. It's going to be super easy to smooth out these transitions because the layer underneath it is already perfectly this color and very visible. Alright, so this is the stage at which we're going to start defining our edges, because we don't want all of our edges to be our brightest color. Your brightest color is going to be reserved for where your brightest highlights are on the edge. you're painting in your highlight lines, do not stress at all about making all of the little sketch lines that you're making with your light touches of your brush the same size. Reflections on metal in real life are often jagged and not perfectly symmetrically square. So you want it to be a little off-center, and you want all the lines to be different sizes to mimic what it looks like in real life. Now, I'm not going for an over-the-top, super bright gold here. But this was by far my favorite part of the painting step, because where you see this really start to come to life is in the shading stage. You apply the shades opposite of the highlights, and also where natural light wouldn't make contact with the gold surface. And man, this gold really comes to life. And after glazing in your shadows, you have a kind of an old, not so polished gold. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Please remember to like and subscribe and share the video. I'll see you in the next one.